start streaming right now. So that should put
Cool.
us live on YouTube. We are live on YouTube now, and
Hello,
let
friends
me
and
double
brothers.
check. We look good on OBS. There we go. Look good on YouTube. Let me
Yeah,
check,
you say we look good.
and then we are good on Facebook. Let me start the test.
I need to change my back screen.
Facebook's set up a little different, but let me. Okay, we are live on Facebook now too. Apparently, so we're just look at us, we're just
Groovy.
improving ourselves, aren't we? Constantly
Nice.
growing. Yeah.
Always.
Yes. So yeah, I haven't ever done any kind of live on Facebook. So I'm going to be watching this with interest, just to see how everything looks as that goes.
Right?
Also, so but yeah, I was worried that if we did more than one thing at once, it might slow things down. But that seems fine too. So
Yeah, we'll
we
see
are good to
how.
go. Johnny Jarvis, look at you, Johnny Jarvis. How are you, sir? Good to
Hey,
see.
brother, how are you?
Good to see you on here. Have you met Johnny before, Dennis?
Seems like I have.
Uh,
I don't want to quote or misquote myself on anything tonight. I am 3 days out of post-op, so um, my wife let me know that right before this. So,
yes, I was
guys, if
gonna.
y'all see me doing this, it's not because I'm doing drugs. It's because I'm wiping post-op.
Yeah, I was gonna advise you, since we're streaming on two platforms, be extra careful this time. Johnny, what is your home lodge? I wanna take a guess. I think you told me it was Grossbeck before, maybe, but um, if you're listening in, if you'll just let us know, because I don't remember. But I do know you visited one of my lodges before, and we've met at Grand Lodge a few times, I believe. So good to have you on here, and hopefully my audio's coming through, because I know last time
Yeah,
we had a hiccup.
let us know because let us know because we don't
Yeah.
ever know until y'all tell us.
Well, the it looks like it's capturing the audio input on my end, so hopefully it's coming through. But yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yep. Johnny Jarvis says, "Yes, sir. Grossbeck is the home lodge." Look at that. I got it
Nice.
right the first
Nice.
time. That is perfect.
You're sharp.
I've driven by Grossbeck a few
Oh, but
times.
you've never visited.
No.
Aren't you so perfect?
Yeah. Well,
If you
they
were
weren't
perfect, you
there.
would have.
Thank you, Johnny. Okay, good to hear
That's
the
because they
audio's
heard
coming
you
in.
were coming.
Yeah, they shut the doors when they saw me coming, I guess. But yeah. So,
So,
cool.
brothers, here, just so that y'all see that this is the cap that's behind me that we've been showing off for a while, and I just wanted to have them both in the same shot tonight.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm a little scruffy here and looking a little rough. It's been a crazy week,
You're good, man.
crazy week.
You're
Got a new
good.
nose job, all is good.
You always look
I'm so vain.
a little rough, so that's all right. We don't mind. So
Yeah, I've had these.
what did you have done? Out of
Uh,
curiosity.
well, I had a deviated septum, so they went basically drilled out one side of my nose and made it straight again so that I can breathe, and then cleared out the the all the cavities that hold all your mucus and stuff, all your sinuses and stuff. They cleared out all those cavities. They widened them, and then they put stents in my nose so that my nose won't collapse when I breathe. It's a pretty common thing for white people.
So
Seriously.
they like drill it out? Like they go in there and drill it out and
Oh yeah, yeah. They drill it out.
wow.
They used to chisel, but they don't do that anymore. They drill it with an MRI going at the same time. They watch it.
And you're knocked out, right?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
was three sheets to the wind, man. I had no idea. I said thank you to the nurse, and she said you got about 30 seconds before, and then I woke up.
Man. Yeah. Have you noticed the difference with your sleep yet?
Well, yeah, I've been sleeping upright for the last 3 days. It's a bummer.
Oh, I see. I
No,
didn't know if you
I
were
still
snoring
got
less or.
I've actually still got cotton and stuff up in my nose, so I can't.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
still got all that packing that you always see on TikTok and YouTube and all that, where they pull that stuff out.
Yeah.
I still got that up in my nose. You just can't tell.
Yikes. All right. Johnny Jarvis says, I'm down in Houston now, so I'll be transferring that soon. So
Oh,
he's
very
gonna move
cool.
his membership from Groesbeck to some lodge in Houston.
I
There's some good brothers
Houston,
down there in Houston.
yeah, there's several good lodges. Let us know where you're at. We can help you get in touch with some good brothers that would love to have you.
Yeah, that's kind of
I,
Dennis's backyard, so he knows everybody out there.
I just transferred my York membership from McKinney to down here to San Antonio finally.
Hmm.
I've had it up in McKinney for the whole time. So right
Red
there with you.
Raider, Red Raider's here. He says, "Good evening, brothers."
Hey, Red Raider, how are you, sir? Glad to see you.
He's become a regular. He's showing up just about every time now.
He is, man. He's got to keep me in check. That's what it is.
Nice.
He, they decided that you weren't doing a good enough job, so they needed backup.
Oh, to keep you in check? No, that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely need backup to do that,
absolutely.
man. So,
Glad to
go
glad to
ahead.
see y'all.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
So I was
What
gonna
you got on
say,
your mind?
the last video that we released, the last full video anyway, because I've been releasing lots of little shorts.
Yeah.
But the last full video, Esoteric Freemasonry with Brother Paul Reyna, is
Oh,
already up
yes.
to 371 views
Wow.
in it's been like a day
Wow.
and a half. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's really good for that short amount of time.
Well, that just tells us what we've known for a while now, and that's what brothers are looking for. That's
Yeah.
what people are looking for. We're not looking for the pancake breakfast and the green beans and all that. We're looking for a little bit deeper experience into our Freemasonry.
Hmm.
And so I think it was overdue. And Brother Reyna will be on back on our show. We had talked about it, and just so that our listeners will know, the Brother Reyna will be back on our show again. We'll have other little series with that as well, digging into the rabbit holes of Freemasonry.
If there is anybody on YouTube that follows us on Facebook, if you could peek at our Facebook and see if the live is showing up on that end, it's been very quiet on Facebook, and it's my
And
first
this
time
is our first
streaming
time
it.
doing
Yeah,
this.
so I just want to be sure it's showing up like it's supposed to. I would appreciate any feedback on y'all's end. Austin White, member.
Hey, we got some regulars, man.
Yeah, he's one of our
This is
members,
awesome.
man. He's one of our members.
He
Evening.
is.
He says evening all evening, Austin. Glad to have you.
Glad to have you.
Red Raider says, no, I just love hanging out. Fellowship and friendship are some of my favorite benefits of Freemasonry. Besides, it is a losing battle keeping Right Worshipful Yates in line. Yes, yes, I agree. Austin White says it's
That's a
not
fact.
on there. Okay, that's fine. I'll let me tinker with this. Get this going.
He can tinker with
Yeah,
that. Do
tinker.
any of y'all have some questions? Look and see if anybody has anything that they'd like to hear about tonight.
Um,
That
yeah.
that talk with Paul Reyna, man, that was awesome. I hope that you guys go and watch the video and listen to it. He is a well-known member of the esoteric community as far as Martinism and Golden Dawn and Rosicrucian. He has helped to uh, translate books for those different orders, and I want to be careful with the words, because he's not concerned about saying occult so much, because it the thing is, a cult is basically different from our dogma, right? So if we don't believe in it, it's an occult, right? And yeah, so a lot of people don't follow those those mystical type orders, and so people think that they're occult type orders. But
Well, there's
I don't.
some things and some words, even if they are applicable, you have to be careful about using them. Just because,
Right,
yeah,
right.
just because they have those connotations associated with them. All right, we are now for sure live on Facebook. So
Oh, very
yeah,
cool.
yeah, I fixed that. It was a test stream. That's why I was doing that. Do y'all have a take on the resolutions from Austin White? You know what?
Oh,
I actually, and this is very
I
unusual for
started.
me.
I started reading.
I have not looked at them. I have not even read them yet.
I started reading
I've
them, and
heard other opinions, but
I like the one that just that Right Worshipful Duty put out. That if you don't have your stuff done, then you go into suspended mode. Then your lodge goes into suspension. I I I think that that is very applicable. I
what's
think it should happen.
what stuff are you talking about?
Form 71 and 990. If you're
Mm,
not doing the bare minimum requirements to keep our corporation going, you should definitely be suspended until you rectify that.
yeah, I actually, well, I need to read it. So I actually have to fill out. I was the secretary of the chapter and council in Grandview, and we merged with the Hillsborough chapter and council. And apparently, we still have to fill out a 990 saying that we closed, and so I got to get that taken care of. So
Right?
it's a learning curve, man. It's just a learning curve
Yeah.
for especially if you're new. Um, but yeah, we should definitely go over the resolutions sometime, maybe for a video, and just discuss it.
Well, that should be very soon because we're coming up on that pretty quick.
Yeah, it's
We're
around the
coming up on
corner.
Grand Lodge pretty quick. Yeah, so probably here in the next couple of weeks we ought to do that on a Wednesday and make that a full show.
We have someone lined up this coming Wednesday, don't we?
I don't know if I stuck them in this Wednesday or not. I'll have to look.
I can't remember.
Um, yeah, we've got several good interviews coming up though. We've
I see.
got the binational Masonic conference. The brothers that put that together, and if you guys hadn't heard of it, that's what Most Worshipful went to a couple weeks ago in Mexico and in El Paso, where they had the brothers from Mexico, New Mexico, El Paso, so Texas, and then even Colorado was there and Arizona. But all these brothers came together um, just to show support for each other. We hadn't been doing that.
Yeah.
Our closest brothers to us here in Texas, and we hadn't been, showing that support across the border. And we should be doing that.
Yeah. I agree.
And so we're gonna have those brothers on talking about that and Masonic improvement. We support that wholeheartedly. I knew you agreed.
Hey, we got a historic first. We have Brother Kadeem on Facebook is watching us,
Wow.
or is it?
Wow,
Should I say
making
companion
strides.
Kadeem now? Yeah, he's
He's still a brother, but yeah, companion. Cool. Very cool.
yes. So very glad that dude travels more than I do now. Like he is everywhere, all the time.
Well, that's good. You don't get the Freemasonry you're looking for if you don't travel.
Yeah, I agree. Red Raider says, I'm looking forward to the podcast with Raina. I have not had time this weekend. Man,
Oh, you'll enjoy it.
I'll be honest, it's a long one. It's like 2 hours long. I set it to premiere on Friday at 12 and left work. We got out of work early because of the holidays. And I was going to listen to it on the way home, and it was still playing. It was still premiering. It's like, oh my gosh, how long is? I mean, I'll be honest, it's a long video, but it's a great one. But you're probably not gonna listen to the whole thing in one setting. It's like driving
Right.
to work or driving to Thanksgiving dinner a couple hours or something like that. It's great though. I'll put it on. I'll upload it on
It is
podcast
good.
here later this week. There's
It
usually
is
a
good
gap
'cause
between YouTube and podcast, and that's intentional. But it will be
but it
uploaded.
does let you know a little bit about those other orders and so that you kind of have an idea because we've all heard of them, and unless you read the books, then you don't really know. The history is pretty interesting when you start looking at the names that are associated with it, and then start looking at famous names from back in that time period. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. Man, we're getting some crazy comments on Facebook.
What
But
you got?
oh, it's not even. It's not even.
Not even questions.
No, they're not questions. They're just rantings, basically. Like there's nothing coherent about it to really share. Uh, it's yeah. It's like Masonic equals 74, Geometra equals 74, Freemasonry equals 58, Secret Society equals 58. It's like yeah, it's
Oh wow,
yeah,
wow. We're
yeah.
not on we're not on that train, buddy.
No,
Sorry.
that's that's not even a train. That's those little things where you get on each side and just kind of pump it. That yeah, that's not even a train, but whatever.
One of those that cart.
Yeah,
That's yeah,
yeah.
that's funny.
River says I left to work early Friday because I worked a 15-hour day. Thursday will have to find time for it.
Wow,
Sounds like what I will definitely
nice.
enjoy. I will say that I have got. I keep an eye on comments. I usually try to stay on top of comments. We've got so much positive feedback on that video, and a lot of it's people asking for like, what's his YouTube channel? When is he going to be back? Really enjoyed this conversation, things like that. So people,
And that's a cool thing is that he
yeah,
does have a YouTube channel, and so you can go and learn more on all these topics. That's the really
he's,
cool thing is that we've just introduced him to you.
yeah, he's got a
Now you
few.
get to yeah.
Like I was actually before he responded, I was looking on YouTube. Just I put his name in. He's got like a martial art one too,
Yeah.
and this guy has been in so many different interviews for so many other podcasts. Like he's got his own page. Just when you type in his name, just boom, 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 just Paul Reyna, Paul Reyna, Paul Reyna. So um, the
Right.
the channel he sent me actually doesn't even show up. It's a little bit more obscure, but it's
Right.
definitely
It's
there.
almost embarrassing that we hadn't done him yet, right?
I guess, yeah. Kind of like Dave McCam's on there. What's up? Right, Worshel.
Hey, right, Worshel, what's going on, brother?
It's good to
Dave
see him.
Cam, so that all you brothers know, in this year at Grand Lodge, there's going to be a little event center, um, not in Grand Lodge, it's outside of Grand Lodge, and I'll be there with some of my swag as well as many other vendors will be there. Masonic Improvement will probably be
We'll
host.
have a presence for sure.
We'll be hosting a couple of interviews while we're down there in that area, and it's all being put together from the brothers in Waco, and Dave has been very influential in getting that done. It's going to be a pretty cool event. It's going to be an event outside the event, so
Yeah,
it's going to be cool.
we went to a. Oh man, what was it? I think it was. Man, was it a master's degree? I think it was a master's degree. We went to a master's degree in a lodge. I won't name the lodge because I don't want to embarrass anybody. But they're having a
Oh,
hard
I know
time.
which one you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, well, you and I have talked about it, but we went to a master's degree, and it was really cool because it was like cross district. You
yeah,
had a whole bunch of guys from my district, and then you had a whole bunch of guys from Dave's district. I don't know the number, but we all
right.
just came together at this one lodge and helped confer a master's degree, and it was a really good time. It was really
You know
enjoyable.
what's and you know what's beautiful about that is that somebody had reached out to me on Facebook about it, and asked me, what can I do? We've got this problem because Justin and I have always, said if you got these issues, come to us. We can probably help you out. But anyways, this brother reached out, and I made two phone calls. I called Justin, and I called brother Dave, Right Worshipful Dave Mackham,
Hmm.
Right Worshipful Mackham, and man, it happened. It happened. This brother was waiting forever to get his degree done, his final degree, a master's degree done, because the lodge couldn't get the people together for whatever reason. They weren't looking for help, and then all of a sudden, two phone calls, and brothers just came together and got it done.
Yeah.
Man, that is awesome. That is awesome.
I'll say, and this is something that I noticed, and I don't know if this is across the state, but I suspect it is. We look at these district lines as though as like it's them and us,
Right.
like them and us,
Right.
like
That's a shame.
it's a shame and it's frustrating. For
Yes.
example, two of my home lodges. Well, I only got two of them. My two lodges are in two districts, and they're literally 30 minutes apart on Interstate 35, and there's nothing in between them, right? And getting, I'll say this, like one of the lodge has gone and helped the other a lot, like going to like help to confer degrees and things like that. But
Right.
getting them to get past this mentality that they're in a different district and having them show up and make a presence is very
Right.
frustrating.
Right.
And I see that a lot.
Yeah, I've seen it too. I've seen it here recently when we did an event for the um, our veteran brothers, and we did a multi-district deal. We did District 34 and 36, and all of 36 was there, but there was only just a small handful of people from 34, and it's like, guys, really? All what really disappointed me the most about, and I probably I shouldn't have said
It's too late.
districts.
You've done it now.
Yeah, I've done it now. But what disappointed me the most is that morning, brothers from one district went up and helped with two EA degrees and then came back for this event.
Hmm.
But then coming back to the event, the brothers that were helped did not come back to the event because they did two EA degrees that day.
Yeah. So the fellow that was talking earlier, that was just throwing out random numbers, right?
Right, right.
Said we did do our research. It's in the Secret Teachings of All Ages, which, oh look, I just happen to have right here.
Yeah, I
And
just happen to have those books too in the other
I
room.
mean, I'll reread it, but I don't think there's a part where it just. I mean,
Starts
I know
randomly
what you're
throwing
doing. I know
numbers.
what you're doing, but just because the numbers didn't mean there's a correlation. But whatever. Anyway, um, I'm thinking what we should probably do. And you said you're not really up for reading, are you?
Do what?
You said you're not really up for reading tonight, right? Because of your your operation.
Reading what?
Well, I was
Oh,
thinking.
reading since we have all these people, go ahead and talk about some of these.
Yeah, I was thinking let's go ahead and pull up these resolutions since we got some
Yeah,
people
pull them
here.
up.
Okay, let me pull them up here.
Give a highlight on one and let's run with it.
Okay,
See what people think.
we will do the Cliff Note version of each
Yeah.
one. Let's see here.
And I'm not
Go
I
ahead.
want to hear what our brothers are thinking also, not just what we think,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we're not.
All right, hold on.
What's funny is what we've come to realize is that we're just stating things that you guys already feel.
Yeah,
And that's why y'all enjoy listening to us, because we're actually just stating the same stuff that y'all are feeling. So I would rather hear it come from y'all than just us anyways.
well, it's. I tell my students this: just because no one else is standing up and saying something, doesn't mean someone's not thinking something, right? And
Right.
usually, if
Right.
you have a thought, you're not the only one that has that same thought, right? Like other people are
Right.
thinking the same thing. It's
Right.
just it's a matter of who's brave enough to stand up and say something first. Um, we have some holdover resolutions. Do we really want to talk about those?
We only have one.
Yeah, but do we want to talk
There's
about
only
it?
one holdover. It disappointed me that they left out part of.
We'll talk about it briefly. How's that sound?
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
just brief.
So these are the 2023 proposed resolutions, and the first thing listed is the 2022 holdover resolution number 11. And like I said, this is Cliff Note version. If you want to read it in more detail, this email went out a few days ago, and so there's a PDF attached. You can pull up the resolutions that look in more detail.
If you're a Texas Mason,
Yeah, yeah. If
Yeah.
you're Texas, mate. Yeah, if you're. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. If your information
Whereas,
is in Grandview, then you should get it.
yeah. Whereas Article 2 of the laws of the Grand Lodge of Texas requires that business shall be conducted only when the Grand Lodge is called to labor, and whereas only Master Masons of good standing may be present when so called, and whereas the current state of technology provides no means by which to ensure that others who are not authorized to attend might be able to witness such proceedings if broadcast, therefore, be it resolved that the following language be added. And it gives but basically there's a new paragraph, and it says, when the Grand Lodge is called to labor, no audio or visual representation of such proceeding shall be permitted either by transmission, live streaming, or other means of communication. These provisions shall not apply to transmissions within the Memorial Temple. So, what do you think, Dennis?
And the Memorial Temple is down underneath. It's not the actual Grand Lodge, right?
That's how I perceive it. I think the Memorial Temple is
Yeah.
more like where
The
we
Memorial
did that
Temple is the York Rite. Yeah, that's the York Rite.
where we recorded that time with the stained glass and everything. I think that's more like what
So
that is.
so I have to disagree with this. Um, because it can be done in a I think instead of doing I think this needs to be tabled again. And the reason why, either that or just voted down. Because the reason why is because I understand their intention. They don't want non-Masons hearing our business, right? Which is true. We don't want to. It is a stated meeting going on with Grand Lodge. It's Grand Lodge's stated meeting. So no, nobody should hear that. That shouldn't have the authority to hear that. However, I think it needs to be rewritten to where it actually creates the setting for it to where someone could open lodge, where a lodge could open their lodge, have it in their lodge, and have it tiled at their lodge, and then the members of that lodge could watch it. I think that would be okay, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's a tiled lodge, right? So that's basically the issue: is that it's not a tiled lodge, it's not a tiled situation. That's the concern, and also the concern of recording, whatever happens on the other side. Which,
Yeah.
to be honest, if we're Masons and we're breaking the laws like that, then if that's found out, then you should not be a Mason anymore because you're breaking the laws.
Yeah.
But those are my opinions on that. That's my short and sweet on that. That I think that it needs to be taken down, but only so that it can be rewritten to allow how the permissions would happen, to where we open a tiled lodge as a called meeting, and then have it within the doors of the tiled lodge, and then it can be presented to the members of the lodge.
Man, I think technology has a place. We should definitely use technology to improve the way we do things, right? Streamline things. But I think there's some things that you can't really replace technology with, and that is being in person to some things.
Well, and I wouldn't say that anybody who would have a vote. That's a whole nother ball of wax, because I would not.
I'm
I
not
don't
talking
believe
about
in
votes.
Right. Okay.
I'm just because here's. I know we're taking things further, right? But if we say, okay, you could watch Grand Lodge proceedings every year, and you don't have a vote or anything, but you can say you were there because you watched it. Then everything trickles down, right? So eventually someone will say, well, why don't we just do that with Lodge, like the Blue Lodge? And you can't vote, you can't speak on anything, but you could be a good Mason and log on and idle while business is being taken care of and say you were there. And that's not Masonry. It's not Freemasonry. And I don't care if you listen the whole time. I don't care if the lodge gives a great educational presentation and you listen to that and you agree with it. It there's something about being in person and shaking a man's hand and sitting next
You
to him
know,
that you cannot
yeah,
replace.
I see that. I see that, and I can get on board with that too.
Good. It's the right answer. Proud of you.
But I think, but well, but at the same time, I also think that in certain circumstances, the provisions have to be there in place in case the next pandemic happens or whatever. That way, we can be associated even though we aren't able to be there physically, because there are situations where we have come across that we cannot be there. And so if that happens, I think there ought to be something in place for that situation.
Yeah.
That's so I believe I see both sides of things. How about you brothers out there?
No feedback yet. One brother, I can't pronounce the name. I don't know if it's a Mason, but SSHO111 Evening Brothers, and then Daniel. I'm sorry, man. I'm going to just butcher your last name. But he says he loves the show. Red Ranger says he's split.
Awesome.
And,
Yeah.
and I mean, I talked against it. I'm split too, frankly. But I don't know.
Well, Red
I think
Ranger's way
sometimes
out
it's
there.
better to lean towards caution.
Right. Right. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Let's
Excuse
look
me,
at
just
the
getting a napkin here.
let's look at this next one. It's a bit of a beast. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's
I
about
like it.
something dear to me. You like it? So
If it's the one I'm thinking.
whereas this is resolution number one. Whereas the lodge is required to pay Grand Lodge a per capita for each, and this is something that
Oh,
we have talked about.
this one's interesting. This one's interesting. Yes.
This is
This one
something
could
that we've
hurt.
talked about, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the lodge is required to pay per capita for each member of the lodge, and whereas Master Masons who are members of multiple lodges have multiple lodges paying capital per capita on them, and whereas Article 318A sets forth the rules for endowed memberships, and whereas the minimal endowment of 5 units of $100 rarely covers the cost per capita, whereas local lodges, especially small lodges, struggle financially, and the minimum endowment amount provides a net negative for the lodge for living and
I
qualified
thought you were going to
members.
give a cliff note. Cliff notes.
I'm Cliff noting it, man. And then it's just one about Anson Jones. Therefore, be it resolved that the Anson Jones per capita endowment fund be created. So the rules: any member in good standing of all subordinate lodges who are up to date can purchase into this fund and will be exempt from per capita for the lodge he's purchasing for. The purchase price for an endowed membership shall be purchased, and the price shall be a multiple of 100, and shall not be less than 1,000 each. So okay, so basically it's creating a separate endowment fund, and
Yes.
the minimum cost for this one is $1,000.
Right. So in 5 years, it's going to be not performing like it should. I think it's an interesting idea.
Well,
The
here's the
the
thing. So if we, who really benefits from this? Let's be honest.
right.
Because it at a 5%
It's the
return.
people that have the multiple memberships is the one that benefits.
No, I'll tell you who really benefits from this is Grand Lodge. They're the ones who really benefit from it. Because, and I'll tell you why. If the minimum is $1,000, let's just look at the payout right now for the endowment fund we have, right? It's a 5% return, correct? So the Grand Lodge pays every lodge $25 per endowed member, right? Are you there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. So if it pays every lodge $25 per living endowed member, based off a $500 endowment, then that means based off a $1,000 endowment, there's $50 coming. If you base it off the 5% return, right? Which I'm not saying that's what it'll follow. I'm just using it as a baseline, right?
No,
And
this
so
is per capita. This is not.
I'm,
This is
I'm
not.
Dennis. I'm fully aware of that. But I'm saying, if $1,000 minimum endowment, the return is going to be more than the per capita, right? And so This does away with the per capita, so the member didn't have to pay per capita, but there's more money involved. And I don't know where it goes, right? I don't know if Grand Lodge just keeps it or goes back into the fund or something like that. However, my point is, this. Oh,
Well,
okay.
I don't
All right,
like.
all right, all right, hold on. So a distribution of 5% of value of these units shall be made to the Grand Lodge general funds. So what that
Right,
means, instead of if I pay,
just like it is now.
well, yes, but if I
Per
pay
capita
twenty
goes to
seven,
general funds.
if yes, if I pay 27.50 right now, right, and the and I buy into the endowment, right? This new endowment fund, and 5% of that goes to the Grand Lodge General Fund. How much is Grand Lodge getting at that point?
Okay, but here's what you're not looking. Okay, so I see what you're getting at there, and it may be, um, yeah, you're. At what point do we stop, giving the money to Grand Lodge? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
But but the thing is that with the per capita, what it does is it eliminates the per capita coming from each lodge that somebody's a membership from. So if you purchase one of these endowments, a per capita endowment, it's not per lodge. It's just a per capita endowment.
I think it is
So
per
if
lodge,
you,
actually.
I don't think so. I
Let's
don't
see
think
here.
that's
Let
how
me
it
see here.
reads. It reads it's a per capita endowment. So if you purchase that per capita endowment, you never have.
Purchasing into this fund will exempt the member from per capita for the lodge that he is purchasing for.
So so it is for the lodge.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
he has to do it per lodge.
yeah.
Well, then I say that's not so bad because then
All I was trying to point out is instead of a brother paying 27.50 to the Grand Lodge is actually getting about $50 because
right,
if it's 5% of the thousand. That's all I'm saying.
yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And I'm saying I don't know, man. Frankly, for by the time I don't know, man. I think this should all just be addressed with the endowment fund we have, and lodges just need to raise
I
their
think it should.
endowments.
Yeah, I think we should stop with the endowment stuff and start thinking about raising per capita and raising dues. The problem is that we need more money going to Grand Lodge to support Grand Lodge. Facts. So we haven't raised per capita for years. So ultimately, we need to raise per capita, and I think that's what this is trying to do. Is bent from just eliminate from doing that. So we need. Why don't we just stop with this kind of stuff, the workarounds,
Mm-hmm.
the way to get around this and that, and why don't we just go straight forward and say, look, man, it costs money to be a member.
Yeah.
And I understand Brother Davis's heart. I do. I understand. He's a good brother, and he's trying to come up with a good solution for somebody. I understand that, but I don't think it's the right solution. Continuing to try to find workarounds for the dilemma of the fact that we're not wanting to pay for our Freemasonry.
Well, now we're dealing with two endowments funds, and that gets
Right.
confusing.
Right.
Red Raider says, I like the idea of this one. I'm partial, though. The writer is a friend and a member of my York Rite. To hear them
Right.
explain this would be a win for Grand Lodge.
Right.
And I don't know,
And
man. Like I have, you and I have both said countless times that the $500 minimum endowment is a loss. It is not a win for
right.
any lodge.
Right. Right.
But I think the solution for that lies in the ability to raise your endowments, and lies in the ability
Yes.
of just following the formula 20 times your
But
dues.
lodges aren't doing that. Yeah.
No, they're
But
not. They're
lodges aren't.
not. And granted, if I raise my endowments tomorrow, that doesn't help with $500 endowments today, right? We're still losing money on those endowments, right?
Right. Right.
But
And
I think there has to be some workaround, some way that we could take the existing program and say and make it work.
well, this is attacking per capita and not attacking endowments for what they are.
Yeah.
Endowments, it's two separate animals because this one is directly trying to deal with per capita. But like Red Raider says, if you hear it presented, it comes out good for Grand Lodge. Well, yes,
Yeah.
it comes out good for Grand Lodge today, but not in 10 years.
No. While
It
I
doesn't come out Grand Lodge in 10 years.
well I
It's just like what
appreciate
happened with our current endowments. It
yeah.
worked good for the day, but not 10 years later.
Well, I appreciate the mentality, and I appreciate brothers actually doing the math and looking at the numbers. I mean,
Right.
I'm happy to see stuff like this being brought up. All it is a band aid for lodges not being financially responsible for 40 years.
Right.
That's
Right.
what it is. It is a result of Masons being complacent and not doing the math and not staying on top of things. So,
Yeah. If we paid our dues and paid what we ought to be paying, then we wouldn't have this problem. We wouldn't be discussing this at all. It'd be a non-issue.
agreed. Agreed.
Yeah. So that's ultimately the Masonic improvement movement.
Yes. The next one is about a name change, it looks like. So,
Yeah,
we'll
that's
skip over that.
yeah. And for those that don't know, we skip over that because if a lodge feels like they need to change their name, then let them change their name. That's
Yeah,
who are we to say what they should have as their name?
that's on them. All right, so resolution number 3. Excuse me a second. Whereas the Grand Lodge of Texas, the Masonic Grand Lodge Library and Museum, and the Texas Masonic Charities Foundation receive funding from each per capita paying Mason in the state of Texas annually. Whereas Grand Lodge of Texas distributes the money received to the Grand Lodge Library and so forth. And whereas many lodges do not
Yeah,
file
this is the
annual
one I
tax
like.
do not file annual tax returns and pay annual dues and contributions owed until after the deadline. Therefore, be resolved immediately after August 15th each year, the Grand Secretary should notify each lodge which has failed to send in its returns or to pay its annual dues and contributions on or before said date that a failure to make such returns or to pay by the time of the annual communication thereafter will deprive such lodge of the right to be represented in such communication. And again, I am just skimming over this. If the lodge fails to make such returns and payments by 11 p.m. Friday of the annual communication of Grand Lodge, said lodge will automatically stand suspended until further time is granted by a signed order of the Grand Master. So it just says suspended, though. I mean, what does that really mean?
That means they don't have a vote. They
Yeah.
don't have representation in Grand Lodge. And if you're suspended, if you're suspended and you cannot be reinstated without the Grand Master himself saying that you
Red Raider told me to grab a cough drop, so that's what I'm doing.
if you're suspended and you cannot be unsuspended without a signed document from the Grand Master, the Grand Master could also do a signed document to just pull that charter.
Hmm.
So at that time, it's a decision point. And then it's easy to say, well, these people didn't care. How many years back have they not cared? And then they'll start. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Is that it opens the door for what could be the purge that needs to happen. I think that if lodges aren't responsible enough to do what they're supposed to be doing, then they should be suspended. And I'm sorry, if you have somebody moving into a new seat, the last person should have been helping that person get everything squared away so that it just flows. I mean, we're brothers. We should be helping each other.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing that, you're not being a good Mason at all. And that's a lodge problem. But still, it's a lodge problem. It's a culture problem. in our lodges.
Yeah, I agree. Let's look here. I'm just gonna skim. I don't know if this is worth reading or not. Article 4 is about the missions and petitions. Do you know if there's anything worthwhile about Article 4? Looks like just streamlining some things. Let's
Right.
see. Article 5 is about electronic seals and things like that. Let's see.
I don't know. I'd like to know about the streamlining of petitions. What are they wanting to do?
Okay, hold on. Let me scroll back up.
I mean, one of our biggest issues right now is
Hold on.
guarding the West Gate.
Hold on. Let me read.
I know. I'm
So
just
the
saying.
Grand
Why.
Lodge of Texas now has a digital membership database, the Grandview database, containing all membership information and status of all Masons currently living. And members who wish to affiliate with another lodge must apply to the parent lodge for a certificate of good standing. And whereas the current certificate of standing only evidences the member's good standing of the parent lodge, and whereas the Grand Lodge membership database can indicate whether the member is in good standing in all lodges in which he holds memberships, therefore be it resolved that Article 438 be changed. Any Mason holding a certificate or admission from a lodge under this jurisdiction or under jurisdiction in fraternal relations with the Grand Lodge at the time such certificate is issued, or a valid, this is the new stuff, or a valid dues card issued by a lodge operating under the Constitution and laws of the Grand Lodge of Texas, would duly vouched for by members of the lodge under this jurisdiction, under this jurisdiction, may petition for and if elected become affiliated. So it looks like it's just saying it's removing a certificate of good standing and saying basically if you have a dues card, that's good enough.
I thought it said you should look in Grandview. You're supposed to utilize Grandview.
Well,
Isn't that what it says?
no.
Man, I need to print it out and give it.
Yeah. So basically it's saying since we already have the database that says if they're in good standing or not, if you have a dues card, the secretary can look on the database to be sure you're in good standing, and we could move forward like you normally would. That's what it looks like to me.
Oh, use the database instead of waiting for paper to actually go from one place to the other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah.
But
And
I would say
it's the same thing for like petitioning
But
for
that-
affiliation, balloting. Let's see, balloting for affiliation or advancement. It's the same thing. It's saying instead of a certificate of good standing, having a valid dues card, because you can look on Grand Lodge database to see if they're actually.
But you know what? But that's another thing that I think that we should be looking at is since we do have that capability with Grandview,
Mhm.
instead of just looking at this one lodge, this mother lodge, this parent lodge, wherever they're using as their referral, look at all of the lodges in Grandview to see if they're current with their dues in every lodge, because I have personally seen where a person has not been suspended in a lodge that is not current on their dues because they're members of so many other lodges that if they were suspended, they wouldn't be able to participate in any of these other lodges. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So, and you can see that if you have certain capabilities in Grandview, you can see if somebody is paying their dues, or it says good standing over here on the right, but you can also look in the rolls and you can see who's behind on their dues, who's in the red.
So Carl,
And
Carl, I'm going to butcher your last name, so I won't try it. He's on Facebook. He says, "How does that work for new Masons like myself?" You're in the database in some form or another. And so if you're saying because you don't have a dues card, you're still in the database, then they can pull you up.
Well, but you're also, yeah.
I mean, some lodges issue like EA cards and fellowcraft cards. I've only seen it a few times, but yeah. I mean, if
Well, they do have one, but at the same time, you still have to go through the process to. Yeah, it's a little different with the EA or Fellowcraft, anyways.
yeah,
I think this mainly pertains to a Master Mason.
yeah. So resolution number 6, and I will keep this short and sweet. It basically talks about articles of sacred volumes of sacred law and things like that. And therefore be it resolved that 223 Article 223 be amended by adding the following under necessary paraphernalia for lodges in Texas. And the addition is additional volumes of sacred law if requested by candidates or member of the lodge and approved by the worshipful master. Frankly, I thought that was already a thing.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
John Tolbert wrote that, and say
Yeah, it
to
should
Breezy.
be.
So yeah, yeah. If it's not, it should be. I agree. I thought that was already a thing, but okay.
You know what? Oh, you know what? What it
I don't
is
know.
that currently, obviously, no. Currently, the other volumes of sacred law are only used in degrees. This would have that volume of sacred law on the
Oh,
yeah during stated meetings and everything. So I'm down. I think that it should be. We
Yeah.
should have that reminder that we're not all, even though that is our most sacred law in Texas, it's not the only. So I think that's a good idea.
Oh, Kroll said for the third resolution for the suspended lodge, it'd work for new Masons like it'd work for any Mason in that lodge. You wouldn't be able to vote or anything at Grand Lodge. All the more reason to elect a knowledgeable secretary and stay on his case.
That's exactly right. That's
Justin
exactly
Roy
right.
says, "Sorry, I'm late. I had homework." It's okay, Justin. We understand. We've all had homework.
Hey, you know what?
No, don't.
Did you see that? Did you see that message that I sent you earlier from Justin Roy? Earlier today, he had posted on TikTok, and it was the coolest thing. He posted something on TikTok, and he said immediately a reference came up for Masonic improvement and other conspiracy theories or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But Masonic improvement came up front line, top line, on as a forward reference for something that he had posted, which is pretty cool because
really
we
cool.
don't pay for that. We don't pay for that. That's just the algorithm.
Yeah, or your phone listening and just knowing.
Yeah.
Right? That's cool though. Very cool.
Either way.
Yeah, definitely. Resolution number 7 is a name change. Number 8.
Yeah.
So number 8 is interesting. Whereas there continues to be confusion as to whether a member in arrears can hold either elected or appointed lodge office or participate in any Masonic function predicated on Masonic membership, therefore be it resolved. Let's see what's added. So it's Article 319 is amended, and it says lodge dues are due and payable 1 year in advance on January 1st each year, and if not paid on before that date, a member shall be in arrears for his dues. The added part is any member in arrears shall be considered to not be in good standing and shall not be entitled to participate in any lodge function predicated on membership on or before 30 days before the last day of meeting the lodge held before June 24th. Yeah, I could be on that.
Yeah.
And here's
If
why.
they're not paying their dues.
Yeah, there need to be some kind of ramifications for not upholding your duty as a Mason.
Yeah.
And that's a duty. Your duty is to support your lodge. And if you're not going to do that, well, you don't get no pay, no play.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's even back in the 50s when bowling leagues were big, that if you didn't have your money for your bowling league right then and there, you didn't get to play the game.
Yep.
That's just how it was. You didn't get to participate. So I agree.
Okay.
I know
this
this
one's
is
interesting.
harsh, guys.
Resolution 9. Whereas Texas Masonry has a long history of reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to the flags, whereas it is tradition and customary for the pledges to be recited in lodge meetings. And whereas Article 333 entitled Order of Business, which provides the order of business, does not include the Pledge of Allegiance, therefore amend it so that it is there now, basically.
What is that for? Pledge allegiance for what?
Well, what are you doing with pledge allegiance to? So, order of business, as stated in meetings after opening the lodge in due and ancient form, a quorum being present, the order of business, unless otherwise ordered by the lodge or the worship master, shall be as follows. And it adds pledge of allegiance to the United States flag and Texas flag as number 1.
We do that anyways.
Well, this whoever wrote this resolution wants to be sure that we do it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. That's just a waste of ink. I'm sorry.
Here's my thing. Here's my thoughts.
We're supposed to be doing that anyways. And whether it's the very first thing or right after something else, I don't know. I mean, that's... Go ahead.
I've always done it when I was worship master.
Right.
And I have no problem with it. Right. I think we should. I think it's good practice. But it's not the ritual. There's nothing ritualistic about it. And the order of business it even says unless otherwise dictated by the worship master. The order of business is a guideline. It's not something you follow.
Right.
It's kind of asinine in my opinion to include that in there. It's just we see this every year.
So the last thing,
things presented just to be presented.
Yeah, the last thing we need to do is make more rules on how we should conduct our business.
Even if you add it, you don't have to do it. Even if you add it,
right?
It says
unless the worship master,
unless otherwise ordered by the lodge or worship master, shall be as follows. The order of business is supposed to be a guideline. It's just to be sure that you cover everything, right? I think it's a waste of. It's going to be a waste of everybody's time sitting there.
Right. That one should flow through pretty quick.
Is Companion Justin attending Grand Session in December? It is. I sincerely hope to attend. I really want to be there. Devin McLean, greetings. I'm 22 from Texas. Interested in becoming a Mason. I've made visits and found a great local lodge that feels good and is welcoming. I've been soaking up a lot from your channel. Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you for watching and letting us know. I'm curious if you don't mind sharing what lodge you're looking at.
Yeah, which lodge?
Yeah, just in case me or Dennis are close by. Like if you decide to petition, I might be able to make it.
Right.
So I'm just curious what you're looking at.
That'd be cool.
Yep. Let's see here. While we're let's see here. Okay, resolution number 10. Whereas the charitable activity of Masonic lodges in their respective communities has and continues to allow greater opportunities for exposure, fellowship, and member involvement. Yes, I know. In each lodge. And whereas not every lodge has a local chapter of the Order of De Malay for boys or assembly for the Order of Rainbow for girls, and whereas the current wording of Article 339 prohibits sponsorship of any other organizations with the exception of the Order of De Malay for boys or assembly for Rainbow for girls, therefore be it resolved that Article 339 be deleted in its entirety. So basically 339 says lodge shall not sponsor other organizations. No lodge shall stand as sponsor for any other organization, even though such organization be composed exclusively of Master Masons or the wives, sisters, sons, or daughters of Master Masons, provided this article shall not apply to the chapter of De Malay. So I guess that they want to be able to do like Boy Scouts or something, or something.
I don't know.
I don't
know, but that one's gonna crash.
I actually know this guy. This is a local lodge. So
I think that one's gonna crash.
Yeah.
And not saying it negatively or whatever, but I think it will.
Yeah. This lodge is really big on charity, raising money and giving it away. So.
Right, and if if they're wanting to scratch it because it has D Malay and Rainbow Girls in there, that is the wrong heart to have. You're saying that your charity is more important than our kids.
Do
No,
what?
I don't agree.
Repeat what you're saying, because I'm not. You lost me. I was reading the
Well,
live
from
stream.
the way that I understood that is that they're wanting to scratch it in its entirety because it had the Rainbow Girls and the only youth charities that could be sponsored was Rainbow Girls and DMLA.
Yeah.
And and so if they're saying that they want to scratch that so that they can sponsor whoever they want to, and they want to take that away, it's gonna drop like a Led Zeppelin, because there's too many lodges that have been sponsoring the DMLA and Order of Rainbow Girls for
Uh
decades.
huh.
In San Antonio, we've been doing it for Albert Pike DMLA. We've been doing it since 1924 when the cathedral was built. It it's not something anybody wants to give up, and we're not,
Yeah.
gonna stop supporting those
Well,
kids.
no.
Just
It's
be
not saying you don't. No. It's not saying you don't support them anymore. That's not what it's saying. It's not saying you have to
what
give
is
your.
it saying?
No. So
I
based on
don't have
how.
it in front of me. I
Yeah.
need to look it up.
No. It's saying that it's so
Which
the way it
it's
reads now
number
is
8?
number 10. The way it reads now is no lodge shall sponsor any other organization unless it is Order de Malay or Rainbow Girls, right?
Right,
And what they're
right.
saying, and I kind of get it, like, because we're looking at trying to do a dim Malay at one of my lodges, and it's a pain in the rear end, right? What I think what they're trying to say is, look, we want to be able to sponsor other organizations besides dim Malay and besides Rainbow Girls.
You can give money to other organizations. Why do you feel like you need to sponsor the reason? Okay, so the reason
I
why
love queso.
we say only those orders, because they follow right along with the traditions of Freemasonry. To the it's a pathway to Freemasonry. Those other organizations are not.
Yeah.
Those other organizations, Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, we can't tell them who they can and cannot. We can't. We're not big players in those organizations to where we can tell them how they should conduct their business or how they shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's been made pretty obvious with certain rulings in the past, 10 years.
Well,
Which,
at the end of the day, there's no reason a Mason, and I actually have this little my lodges. A Mason he's a scout master or whatever. It's not a Masonic thing. It's him as a Mason being involved in the community, and so
right,
you don't have to have the
right,
lodge sponsoring it unless you're saying you want the kids to be able to meet there or something. Which I think any organization can meet in a room that's not adjoining the lodge itself.
right. It shouldn't be in the lodge room,
Yeah,
anyways.
and so yeah, I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, you can let your dining room be used as a.
Yeah,
Maybe we're missing something, but
yeah, I don't
you
know.
can let your dining room be used as a place for the Cub Scouts to gather. That's not a problem.
So YBN McFadden says, "What do y'all think of the Grandmaster recommendations?" We're going through the resolutions right now. When we get to the recommendations, we'll tread lightly, but we'll see what it says. I have no clue what it
Definitely
says.
tread lightly.
Adam Olivier's here. I'm late, but howdy, brethren. Hello,
Hey,
Adam. Glad to
hey.
have you. Devin McLean, the 22-year-old from earlier, says Faith Lodge 1158 in Wichita Falls. Keep us posted.
Oh,
Keep us posted
nice, nice.
if you petition. I can't make any promises, but Wichita. I mean, it's not ridiculously far.
That's way out there.
Yeah.
For me, that's 10 hours.
Well, yeah, for you, yeah. Uh, Freddie says I too learned a lot from Justin before. It says Justin, not Justin Dennis, but before becoming a
Ooh.
Freemason. Also from Robert Johnson for what's KMU. I seriously don't regret it at all. It's a beautiful fraternity to dwell in. Thank you very much, Freddie. Appreciate the kind words. Appreciate the kind words. I mean, I'm just reading what it says, Dennis. I don't know what to tell you, man. Let's see.
That's okay. That's okay.
Is there a delineation between sponsoring and donating funds to? That's the question.
Right.
That's really the
And
question.
that's the thing. Yeah. You can donate funds to any organization that your lodge feels like donating funds to. There is no.
It really feels a lot like to trying to determine what you can claim credit for. I hate to say it that way.
Right.
But
I think so. I
yeah,
think
it's like
so.
it's yeah. You want to be able to say, "Look what we did." I think.
Yeah.
Um,
They want it on the they want it on the oh my goodness, I just had a brain fart. They never mind. Never
okay,
mind.
I will never mind it.
Yeah, never mind that one. Sorry guys.
Man, this next one's. Ugh.
If any of y'all don't know, I'm 3 days out from post op,
He had
so
brain surgery.
I'm a little foggy.
They opened him up and found nothing. Uh, resolution number 11. I'll be honest. I don't. We'll start it and we'll see if we finish it. Okay. Whereas the fundraising activity of Masonic lodges has and continues to emulate, I just don't like the direction these resolutions are going. I'll be honest with you.
Right,
Whereas
right.
the fundraising activity of Masonic lodges has and continues to emulate Masonic principles of relief and charity, how is taking other people's money and turning around and giving away never mind. Anyway, whereas lodges,
You didn't even read the resolution.
I know. Whereas lodges with the ability to do so have sought to establish endowment funds in order to fund Lamar scholarships with the interest earned and underlying investment portfolios, and whereas donations from lodge members in many cases will be matched by corporations if they are employed by the corporations they are employed by, if and only the organization is a 501c or C3. Whereas Texas Masonic Charities Foundation has established one-time and or recurring monetary minimums in order to earmark donated funds. Jeez. Therefore, be it resolved that 339A be amended as follows. And let me see what's actually being amended here, because I don't see it in italics. So they got the entire... is this all added? Jeez. I'm not reading this, dude. This is 2 pages. A lodge may authorize a vote of majority of its members present at a stated meeting, but that formation by members of a Texas nonprofit corporation for the purpose of advancing education through scholarships. Jeez, man. I'll say this. You have the email probably. Oh, this is also from the same lodge. They're doing something. They're planning something. I don't know what direction they're trying to go. Is this like about the formation of nonprofit corporations for the purpose of scholarships or something? I would say pull it up and read it over yourself, because it is seriously a 3-page thing, and I'm not going to waste everybody's time by reading it. It's resolution number 11.
I haven't read it. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't even give you the gist of it. Let's see. Resolution number 12. The Tall Cedars of Lebanon of North America predicates membership of Masonic on being a Mason. There are 87 forests located through North America. I guess that's what they call like where they meet. And their charity is muscular dystrophy. And whereas the membership is predicated on being a Master Mason, Article 225 of the laws of Grand Lodge of Texas recognizes several other Masonic organizations who are in amity with this organization, who are authorized to utilize lodge rooms of Texas, pursuant to the recognition list specified above. Masons participating in, who are members of the Tall Cedars of Lebanon of North America, are not in violation of Article 506, which makes it a Masonic offense to participate or join any organization that is not subscribed to the principles of Freemasonry. Whereas the Tall Cedars of Lebanon seeks the approval of Grand Lodge of Texas as an organization recognized by Grand Lodge of Texas, therefore be it resolved that the Grand Lodge of Texas recognizes the Tall Cedars of Lebanon of North America as an organization predicated members on Masonic membership. I think it just says that they're allowed to join and meet in lodge buildings.
Probably that's what they
Yeah,
did
yeah.
with Bunker Hill. That's what they did with all the yeah. So if it predicates on being a Mason to become a member, then they're saying they want to, be able to meet in the lodge rooms
Mhm.
instead of being excluded. I I don't care either way on that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
if
I'm not a
it's
member.
if it's predicated on that, yeah, I guess. I think it's just one more thing to take us away from the focus of Blue Lodge,
Well, that was
in
Jack
my
Harper.
opinion.
That was Jack Harper proposed that. So
Yeah, and I don't have anything against it either. I'm
no, I
just
mean I'm
saying
not
I
a
think it's
member. No,
just
no.
another
I'm just
it's
saying
just another
I
thing
like
that
Jack. I like
yeah,
Jack. He's a good guy.
yeah.
So
Me too. Me too. But
you're a good
I
guy
just
too.
think that it's yeah, I am. And I think Jack is. But
Yeah.
I think that it's just another thing to take away from, you know, the Blue Lodge. It's just more time away from the Blue Lodge.
Uh,
And
Freddie says
and while
much love
these
to Dennis as well. He was one that was saying about watching me. So he said, "Oh yeah, you're
yeah,
there too."
sir. Yeah,
Um,
so he put you in check.
Carl says, "I cannot wait till tomorrow. I'll set my first stated meeting as the master. It's always an excited.
Oh,
It's always an exciting
it's
meeting.
awesome.
Yeah." Um,
That is awesome.
Red
Congratulations,
Raider
man.
says, and this is talking about what we were talking about earlier with the Demolay. When they say
Uh-huh.
sponsor, I wonder if they're trying to put their lodge name as a troop name. Possibly, it's possible. I really don't know. Um,
Maybe, maybe because they've people have wanted to do that with like baseball. They've wanted to use their lodge names for to sponsor baseball, uh, little league baseball teams and stuff like that.
yeah,
But we can't put the lodge names on the uniforms because we're not allowed to. Yeah, I could see where that it's hard to know the intent
yeah,
of these things sometimes the way they're written.
yeah. So let's look at number 13. One second.
Go ahead. I'm still reading over 11.
Whereas a Masonic disciplinary violation exists under Title 5, Article 2, Chapter 2, Article 509 of Grand Lodge of Texas, if a member denies felony convictions on a petition for the degrees and is discovered after he becomes a Mason, after he becomes a member that has had convictions, um, whereas a Masonic disciplinary violation exists, whereas a Masonic talks about violations, whereas these violations only pertain to Masons, not petitioners. Therefore, be it resolved that Article 441 be amended to read. I don't see where the actual change is, so I'll just read it because it's kind of short. If the investigation committee finds the candidate totally disqualified for any reason, such as the petitioner is found to be ineligible or has provided false information on his petition, the facts will be reported to the lodge, such report entered into the minutes, the fee and birth certificate returned. False information on the petition shall result in total disqualification for 5 years, and Article 405 will not apply. The individual will not be allowed to withdraw the petition. Grand Lodge Texas database will be updated to reflect the disqualification and reason for the disqualification. Period. I'll tell you, there's only one thing I don't like.
I wouldn't give the money back
That's exactly non-refundable.
because they lied.
They
They
lied. Yeah.
if they lied, no, I don't think so.
I mean, I've always been under the yeah, like anything you pay is non-refundable, and I think there should be
Yep.
a non-refundable background check fee. And it's like,
Yep.
regardless of how it comes out, this is what it costs. Like,
Yeah.
why are we giving money
Exactly.
back?
Why would we give that money back since we paid to have it done?
I mean, most of these resolutions about how financially distraught we are. Now we're giving money back. Silly. It's
Right.
just silly.
Right.
Um, Resolution number 14, Article 20B of the Laws of the Grand Lodge of Texas requires that the Grand Lodge trustee shall employ an independent, certified public accountant or competent accounting firm to audit the books, whereas Grand Lodge trustees comply with these requirements, whereas the rules of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, to which all CPAs must adhere, require that certain funds of this Grand Lodge be treated as restricted and limited in their use, whereas the funds so restricted are no longer required to be used. Let's just get to the. Therefore, be it resolved that all funds of this Grand Lodge, which are currently treated as restricted for retirement benefits in accordance with the rules of American Institute of CPAs, be unrestricted and subject to use by this Grand Lodge in accordance with Grand Lodge law. I mean, this sounds like a it was Rick Townsend. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a very technical resolution to me.
Yeah, I'd have to look it over really close.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely don't just take our word for this. Look these over yourself. I mean, we're just kind of
Yeah, because that's they're saying restricted funds.
yeah,
So funds that have been restricted by the American Accounting Council or whatever.
yep, yep.
Huh.
So the next one, Article 15, short and sweet.
I'm not an accountant, so I'm not going to answer
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not a CPA, but the next one, basically the change is that the Article 172. You shall say, Grant Secretary shall forward to the Secretary of each constituent lodge 5 copies of resolutions. Right. The new adaptation will say the Grand Secretary shall publish such proposed resolutions and statements of availability electronically and will provide one printed copy to the Secretary of the Lodge upon request. So it's basically
Upon
reducing.
request, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm down.
yeah.
Let's stop killing trees, people.
I mean, literally, this is a PDF we got, so the Secretary could
Yeah,
just read it out and or print it out, right? I mean, let them kill the trees if they want to.
yeah.
Okay, our resolution number 16. This is interesting. Very interesting indeed. Whereas the Worshipful Masters and Wardens of constituent lodges must demonstrate proficiency in accordance with Article 276A of the Laws of Grand Lodge of Texas, and whereas no proficiency requirements exist for Grand Lodge officers, therefore be resolved that this change be made. Paragraphs 1 and 2, no change. And then addition is at the time of his installation as Grand Master, Deputy Grand Master, Grand Senior Warden, and Grand Junior Warden, such member must be in possession of a Grand Lodge ritual certificate issued by the Committee on Work in accordance with Article 132A of the Grand Lodge of Texas.
No.
And then, let's see, another addition is after nominations are made, but prior to the elections of the offices of Grand Master, Deputy Grand Master, and so forth, it shall be the duty of the Grand Secretary to orally deliver to the members present at the Grand Lodge annual communication a report on the eligibility of nominees for each office.
No, I disagree
Why? I
wholeheartedly.
mean, most of them already have A certs anyway.
Yeah, but then you're saying that it even includes deputy grand masters. So DDGMs cannot be DDGMs if they're not certificate holders. No,
Why not? Why not,
no,
man? Why?
no.
Why not?
Because there's what it is it's a bunch of people that think that, okay, so you have esoteric minded people, and then you have the exoteric minded people.
Mm-hmm.
The exoteric minded people are the ones that memorize catechism. The esoteric minded people don't always memorize all the catechism. They're busy reading the books that explain that catechism. So why would you say, I would say it should be the other way around, that you should force people with certificates to actually learn what they're memorizing, as opposed to telling people that focus on the education portion of it that they have to memorize everything. That I think that's because not everybody can memorize. Not everybody can do it.
Here's my thoughts. Should a worship master and wardens be proficient in opening and closing and conferring degrees?
Sure, but that doesn't require a
Hold
certification.
Hold on. Should we not expect more out of the Grand Lodge officers?
No.
No, we should not.
We're all, look, most of your Grand Lodge officers do have a certification.
Mm-hmm.
They already had it. But that's not your district deputy grand masters. It's not your district education officers. It's not your, what they're doing is they're trying to close the box to where only certain people can be in this club. And I don't agree. I don't agree.
Hold on, I'm looking at something here.
You're taking the free out of Freemasonry.
So it's Deputy Grandmaster, not District Deputy Grandmaster. It doesn't say anything about DDGMs. So it's the Grandmaster.
I thought
Deputy,
you said it.
Grand Senior Warden, Grand Junior Warden, and yeah. And it just says they have to have a certification. I mean, there's a little bit more. Maybe it gives like a
what
specific...
certification though? Is it gonna end up being an A certification to where you can't be a Grand Lodge officer unless you're... Is that what you're saying?
I don't see anything that says it has to be an A, but I'm also skimming and it's lengthy. It just says a Grand Lodge ritual certificate.
It's opening the door for something that doesn't need to be there.
I don't know, man, because personally, we're clearly we're not going to agree on this. I personally think that if you're going to go to the east or be a warden in a lodge, then you should have a certificate.
I don't agree.
Well, I just said
I would rather
agree on this.
I would rather you have a certificate showing that you went to officer leadership training than having a certificate showing that you could memorize.
Here's and I'm not arguing with you because I agree with what you're saying, right? But if you can't open a wet paper box, let alone a Masonic lodge, like I don't care if you went to officer leadership training. Because,
I understand
because all
that,
the meetings
but
are going to suck. Like you can have someone as knowledgeable as Paul Reyna. Like Paul Reyna, we interviewed him, right? This guy's very knowledgeable, and so clearly he is very. There's no certification, but he is very qualified in a lot of aspects of Freemasonry, right? But if you had a brother like that, I'm not saying this is Paul. I'm just saying someone as knowledgeable as Paul, but they can't open or close a lodge. If they have no capability of handling the ritual, like it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter what kind of education you have to present or how knowledgeable you are, because if you can't, and this sounds dumb, I feel like
it does sound dumb. It
but
does sound
if
dumb.
you can't, no, I'm not done. Let me talk.
The ritual is
I'm not done. If you can't, I know it's not, but if you can't open or close a lodge, the entire meeting is crap. It's crap.
Opening and closing the lodge is one thing. Opening and closing the lodge is one thing. But when you're saying that you have to be able to, and you're talking to a brother that actually did learn to perform the degrees when they came as worshipful master. I did learn the work, but that's because I wanted to. It was important to me. But, excuse me, I had to burp. But it should not have been imposed on me to have to do that. I think opening and closing a lodge, absolutely. I think being able to run an effective lodge meeting, absolutely. Because that is what's killing our lodge meetings. But it's ritual, the other ritual has nothing to do with being able to manage the business of Freemasonry. Has nothing to do with it.
Well, then I'm not saying absolutely it necessarily has to be an A cert.
But you know where it's going. Once they get their foot in the door, that's where it's going. So that's
kind of the direction it's going anyway, in my opinion. Regardless of what I think.
I don't. Not if I can help it. It's not going that way.
By the way, we have 9 viewers right now on
awesome.
YouTube and 5 likes. So if you would just
very cool.
10 now. So if you just do us a favor, just give us a quick like. These likes help with the algorithm. Same thing on Facebook. We got 3 viewers right now on Facebook. If you don't mind, just popping a like, and if you have any Masonic groups that you're a member of, please share us. Help us get out there more. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm not trying to argue with you, Dennis. I mean,
yes, you are. Yes, you are.
No.
You knew it when you said it. You knew it when you said it, and that's okay. We can have differing opinions.
This is actually so this was submitted by Jim Rumsey, though. So
of course it was.
Well, one of them
This is exactly what is good about Freemasonry is that we do have different opinions on this, and I'm
Yep.
sorry,
That's what's
I,
beautiful about
I still,
Freemasonry is even when the other guy's wrong, we can still have a discussion.
which obviously he is. We can keep going, and that's okay.
Um,
But that's the big split for, I understand, and I think that everyone should be able. I think the same thing that's going on with the lodges as far as the having the 101A, the 101 and the 101A type proficiency to make sure you can open and close your lodges and stuff like that. Yeah,
yeah.
I think absolutely. Grand lodge should not be taken lightly. It shouldn't be. But I don't think being an expert at and I think that people that are good with memorization are more inclined to want that. People who are not good at memorization, I'm not good at memorization. So why
All,
should I be
all I'm
held
saying,
back because
all I'm
I'm not
saying,
good at it?
all I'm saying. Let me back up. Let me back up. Freemasonry, and we've talked about this before. There's different paths of Freemasonry, right? And none of this is more valid than the other, right? And I use Paul as an example because he's a very esoterically minded Mason, and I'm sure he's probably a great worship master if he chooses to be, or if he's done it. I'm sure he's done a great job. So I'm not targeting
He
him.
hasn't been yet.
Okay. Oh
He
yeah, he
hasn't
did
been
say
yet.
that, didn't he? But I'm not targeting
Yeah.
him specifically. I'm just using him as an example because he's very knowledgeable. He's very esoterically minded, right? But I would say, like, for lodge leadership, there's a few things you need to be able to do, and one of them is open and close the lodge, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of
Absolutely.
regardless of your other qualifications, regardless, like
Absolutely.
like like those are irrelevant if you can't open or close a lodge, in my opinion.
Right. I
For
agree.
that role, right?
Right.
But that's not to say that I guess what I'm saying is everybody has their own talents and skills, right? And to be a worship master or a warden, or really just to step into lodge leadership, we need to say these are the bare minimum. This is the bare minimum. This is what you need to be able to
Well,
do as a bare
but
minimum.
I think memorizing words is not the bare minimum. The bare minimum is knowing how to run a business.
I have seen, I have seen, I have seen worship masters that knew how to run business, but they couldn't open and close a lodge to save their life. And it was a terrible experience. Terrible.
And I've
And,
seen and
and I,
I've
but
seen
but I've seen worship masters that could do it, opening and closing word perfect, and they can't necessarily run a lodge, but it's still a better experience.
not I have seen where I have personally seen where people think that because they have the certification that it's their way or the highway because they know all the words, everything they say is their way or the highway, and it has torn apart districts. I
We
have
got
seen
we got Caesar Rubio. Remember Caesar, right?
it.
Yes,
Hey,
welcome, Caesar. It says any
muscle up.
officer of a lodge should be proficient in both Masonic law and ritual. You have to have both. I agree. I agree. Everything
I,
else.
I
Go ahead.
I disagree with having a full A certification.
Okay, well, no one has said, and I understand you're saying there's an implication, but no one has said it. No one has said it, right? If frankly, if every officer, I'll even take it a step further. If the worship master has a C cert and the wardens are working towards it, I'm happy with that. I'm
Right,
satisfied. I'm satisfied
right.
because that is progress, right? And a
But
C
what
cert means
matters is what matters is the letter of the law, though. Once you put it into law, it's a whole different puppy. That's the problem.
the, you know, I see what you're saying, but the law is also the same reason we have lodges with $500 endowment still, right? The law creates the minimum. The law creates the minimum expectation.
It doesn't in all situations.
Oh, show me where it does it. I mean, people, we
We'll
just.
have to have this conversation off screen because because that would get you and me both in big trouble.
Red Raider says, I think it's a low bar for entry. Y'all keep talking about if you don't have the money, then don't join. The ritual is one thing that separates us from other organizations. I agree. I agree. I've been in Lions Club and I've been in Rotary, and it is a gavel and you're open. Right? There's no ritual and there's no initiation or anything like that. At least, at least not like what we would recognize as Masons. And I don't know, man. I'm just saying. I'm not belittling anybody that doesn't have a certificate by any means, but I think as lodge officers, there should be a and granted, we kind of have a requirement anyway because the district instructor has to come say you know how to do things, right? But I don't know, man. I don't know. You could say it's up to the lodge to create that criteria, but if it's not in the Grand Lodge, the only laws that lodges care about is in Grand Lodge law, if they care at all.
Right.
Like
Right.
Like we just had an issue at one of my lodges where they didn't even know where the heck the bylaws were, and the most recent version of the bylaws that the lodge has isn't what the Grand Lodge has.
Wow.
No one even knew what was in the bylaws. No one cares what's in the bylaws. What's going
to... the only thing that matters is what Grand Lodge is.
Yeah, because Grand Lodge will come down on you. No one's going to come down on you for not following your bylaws.
Right.
Adam Olivier says not everyone should be master. At the very least, a master should be able to open and close lodge without issue
yes,
and be
I agree.
able to run a meeting. Without issue is kind of a tricky point, right? Because there's no such thing as a perfect open and a perfect close. But
you never heard me open and close.
I hear you open and close your mouth a lot. I take that back. I never hear it close. Just kidding. Not really. Just kidding. Let's see. Red Redder is a dedication of time and effort. It is a low bar of entry. Caesar says, great conversation point, brethren. Thank you, Caesar. And thank you for hopping on. Carl, again, I can't pronounce his last name. He says, what about the lodges that have very few people who come to lodge? Man, that's always the thing that comes up, right? That's
I think it's even more important that they should know the work. They should, go ahead. I'll let you speak while I get a drink. I need a drink.
This comes up. Something like this comes up every year at Grand Lodge, right? And
right,
someone always tries to raise the bar, and someone always says, well, this is going to penalize smaller lodges. Man.
Yeah. I don't care if it penalizes the smaller lodges.
Yeah, at the risk of sounding like a jerk, maybe they need to be penalized. And it's not that the brothers have necessarily done anything wrong. But
there's a reason they're smaller. And
there's a reason they're smaller. Yes, I mean there's a point where a lodge needs to merge, and if you can't raise the bar without basically crippling yourself as an organization, then maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to look at your options.
Now here's my argument on this is that, the little lodges, they should be looking at merging. But my big argument is that it takes all kinds of brothers to make Freemasonry happen. It takes all kinds of brothers. And without those kinds of brothers, then Freemasonry isn't going to happen. Well, what you're doing when you're saying that you have to meet certain requirements to be Grand Lodge officers, then you're saying that it doesn't take all kinds of brothers. It takes this kind of brother. And that's the only kind of brother that it can take for Texas Freemasonry, because those are the trustees that are going to be making the Grandmaster's recommendations. They're going to be making they're going to be calling the shots on what happens going forward. I tell you what, let's stop with them, and we'll have this.
You're getting choppy. You're gonna tell us what?
Let's have this discussion again. Let's have this discussion again 1 year from now.
Okay. I'll write it down right now.
Set a date. You need to.
Hold on, let me write it on my calendar. Tell Dennis I told you so. 11/20/2023. I'll be sure to remember that. Caesar
we'll have
says
we'll have this discussion outside of this discussion.
Caesar says California Masonic Code specifies that a master's qualifications are what a master's qualifications are. It is clear. The reason being that you as a master are an example of what it should look like. Yeah, and I've said this before. Like we take new Masons, we teach them the work, we teach them the catechism, and tell them it's important that they get as word perfect as possible. And then they sit in their first lodge meeting, and the wardens or the master don't know how to open a lodge. Like,
Yeah,
what is that conveying to them? What does that tell?
Yeah, that makes me sick.
Yeah,
I agree.
we tell them these things are important, and then they sit there, and the leadership that they look to as an example can't even do it, right? So it says that whatever my trainer's been teaching me is garbage.
But then it becomes a matter of, since it's written down in law, it becomes just checking a box. Because I have to, I'll learn it, but not because I want to, not because it's important to me, not because it's important to the degree work, but because I have to if I plan on being a grandmaster. So I'm not up for box checkers. I'm not a box checker. I don't agree with box checkers.
Red Redder says, I believe this resolution creates a new certificate for Grand Lodge, just for opening and closing Grand Lodge and opening and closing representation at Grand Lodge. It may be. It may be. Like we said, like it's a lengthy resolution. I haven't read through the whole thing.
Well, and that's cool. If that's what it does, then cool. That's good.
Caesar says their penalty, talking about lodges that can't open, their penalty is poor attendance, lack of interest, and an inability to retain members.
That's a fact.
Yeah. Carl says, I agree, but it frustrates me to all the end. I want them to turn it around. He's talking about the smaller lodge. Then Caesar says, we're looking for proficiency, not perfection. And I think a lot of people misunderstand that. And he's right. Like there's no perfection. You can't. I mean, I district instructor, and I don't open and close perfect. No one opens and closes or does degrees perfect. It's all about proficiency and ability. And I'll say it, not just proficiency, but ability to roll with it, if that makes sense. Like if I make a mistake, I don't like, oh gosh, hold on, let me back up, let's start over, let's just do it over. No, you just keep going. But
then you have some instructors that they are looking more at the word perfect example and not looking at the flow of the degree and how beautiful it is for that candidate. And so then you've got this one person deciding on what Freemasonry is, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's the problem, is that we're putting it in the hands of this one entity or this one group of people that decide what the work is and decide how it's to be implemented and how it's to be done. And then it becomes only them that are the grandmasters, because they're the ones that are deciding it all. So that's the problem. And I'm not saying that was Rumsey's intent at all. I know that that's not his intent, because I know him. He's a good man, and he just wants us to level up. And I agree. Yeah. But in the same token, I believe that that's the problem, is that when you have certain people that are in control of all these things, then they're in control of everything.
Yeah. So Red Raider says, as an instructor, aim for perfection, but settle for proficient. I teach lessons with words, not just words. I will say that, yeah, I mean, I'm a district instructor also, and teach for perfection, right? Like, get the words right, get it right, because when you actually stand there in the lodge and spit it out, you're going to make mistakes, right? So if I'm not teaching you right now, then you're going to make even worse mistakes later on, if that makes sense.
Well, the instructor should, the instructor should teach it correctly.
Yeah.
But holding somebody to a bar that they may not be able to achieve is, I screwed up mostly in opening and closing and anything that I've done, really, in being nervous about messing up. It's not about actually doing the stuff or learning it or knowing it. It's about messing up. I get worried that way.
Yeah.
So there's different things going on there that aren't taken into account for, and so you have to be very careful on the wording when it comes to law. It's a whole different. That's my only concern.
Yeah. Resolution number 19. This is interesting. Whereas the Grand Lodge of Texas has authorized the publication of a Texas Masonic cipher book, and whereas the cipher book is a valuable tool, and whereas it will reduce confusion and strengthen ritual proficiency if subordinate lodge members were allowed to refer to the authorized cipher books in the following situations on lodge premises, such as when rehearsing the ritual of conferring degrees, or rehearsing opening and closing lodge, or rehearsing the catechisms. Therefore, let it be amended, basically, to allow it during these things.
I disagree.
I just think of chapter and council.
Yeah.
Chapter and council. When my granddad passed away, I inherited his belongings, and there was a cipher book that was very strange. But upon further examination, it was a chapter and council cipher book, right? Which means you had to learn your stuff, right? But now it's in plain English, and so many chapters of councils sit there and just open and close and do
read
everything
out
just
of
read
it.
from the book.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's not what this is saying. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
That's not what this is saying. But when Masons
Ultimately, that's what'll happen.
Specifically new Masons that are not familiar with Grand Lodge law, when they see their mentors using these books, they will think it's okay to use the books. And then people are bringing them into lodge, and before you know it, you have people peeking at it during degrees and peeking at it when opening and closing. And then you just have it plain text, and you're reading it, and it's boring because you're just reading it verbatim, and it's not exciting at all, and it defeats the entire purpose of everything.
Right.
Now,
Have
I peeked at a cipher book before going to lodge? Absolutely. I taught myself most of my certificate work from a cipher book, and so I'm not saying they're not valuable, but it's a slippery slope once you start bringing it into the lodge room.
Once you start letting it in the lodge, that's the problem. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I have one, and most masters that I know have one, but we don't take it into the lodge during our floor schools and the work that we do in lodge. Mm-hmm. No, we do it all, mouth to ear.
Yeah. Caesar says California adopted the cipher for one reason only, to make it easier for members because they believe that this would fill the chairs of the lodge. I mean, the cipher has been invaluable. I mean, I won't deny that. Like, I probably wouldn't have my certificates without a cipher book, just because I don't have the time to get with people, right? And that I learned best that way. Like when I am repeating a lecture or something, I'm actually visualizing the page that the words are on, right? I'm a visual person, so I can recollect, like, oh, this was paragraph towards the end of the page. This is what I said, and so that's how I do it. That's how I do it. So I mean, yeah, cipher is very valuable, but it has a place and it has a time, and once we start convoluting that, it creates problems, I think.
I agree.
So I would say, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. All right,
I'll let you win that one.
Very courteous of you. Grandmaster's recommendations. You ready to tread lightly? Whereas article contains articles governing the procedures of Grand Lodge, procedures for lodge geez, let me just start over. Whereas Chapter 8, Title 2, containing Articles 245 through 253, governs procedures for lodge consolidation within the Grand Lodge jurisdiction, and whereas the current procedures often take more than half a calendar year, require a written notice to be issued to all lodge members, and these requirements may pose a hardship to lodges who desire to consolidate but are facing an inability to continue ongoing operations due to lack of officers, and so forth. Whereas during the process, while still recognizing the importance of notice, majority votes, and consideration, therefore be it resolved So this is Article 245. Whenever the majority of members of the lodge present, after all the lodge's members have been given a 20-day notice, this is the addition. It used to say 20-day written notice. Now it says a 20-day notice via posting outside the lodge room and the usual communication methods used by the lodge secretary for our membership notices, such as email, social media, or written newsletter, that a proposal to consolidate the lodge will be considered at a specific lodge meeting. So it's making it easier for them to reach out and say that they notified people.
Yeah.
And then Article 248, the worshipful master of the lodge, with which such consolidation is proposed upon receipt of such papers, shall cause the same to be read and open in lodge at his next stated meeting and entered upon his minutes and set as a new business agenda item on the next stated meeting. I mean, yeah, I like this. This is Brad Billings.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at the point where you're consolidating, you're already having trouble meeting, right?
You're probably behind on the 8 ball already. Yeah.
So yeah, I like that.
You're probably past due on doing all this in the first place. So to make it as smooth as possible, you need to and typically your stakeholders are already at the lodge. The ones that actually support the lodge are already there.
Yeah.
So, if somebody can't show up at lodge, they shouldn't come in at the last minute and tell you can't demise because they.
All right, Grandmaster's recommendation number 2. It looks like it adds the real estate committee to the list of Grand Lodge committees, which I already thought that was a Grand Lodge committee, but it's needed. It's not.
It's a temporary right now.
Yeah, that just makes sense. I was joking about treading lightly. I mean, I knew these were going to be good recommendations for the most part, but we'll see.
And that is needed. And I'll explain why to anybody who doesn't know. Go ahead. Yeah. I'll let you speak on it.
Number 3. Whereas the landmarks or ancient landmarks of Freemasonry are mentioned numerous times in Texas ritual.
Well, I didn't get to explain to these people why it's important.
What are you talking about?
The importance of the real estate committee, because they may not understand why it's important.
Oh, I thought we were moving on. Go ahead.
I wanted to explain that real quick so people would understand why it's important.
By all means.
I was a member of that committee, that temporary committee this year. And the reason why it's important is because a lot of lodges are going into contracts with people thinking that the Grand Lodge is there for them and thinking that Grand Lodge is going to be their attorneys in any matters when it comes to that real estate, when that's not the case. And they're going into contracts with people that aren't written up properly most of the time. And because when it comes to business property, it's different than personal property. Personal property, you have to use the forms mandated by the Texas Real Estate Commission. Whereas on a business property, you can do a contract, right? So it can be a hodgepodge of different things that go into this contract for sale. So you need to have a real estate committee that can look at the documents before you go into an agreement with somebody to sell your property and make sure that you're not getting shafted in the deal, number 1. And number 2, to make sure that all the documents are in order that will protect you. And now, from there, it would go to the civil law after that. So they take over and they protect the Grand Lodge, though they don't protect the lodge. So at very minimum, you want to have somebody that's there looking at the documents, making sure you have everything there that would normally protect you in this business transaction. So that's what the good of the real estate committee is, and it also speeds up the process because we can say, this is missing, this is missing, this is missing, this is missing, get it in there, and then we'll move it on to these guys to make a decision on if they're gonna accept it or not. And buddies, if you're not getting Grand Lodge involved before you do these transactions, that's the very worst thing you could do for your lodge. I'm
Yep.
telling you, just letting you know.
Uh,
So, anyways, that's why it's important.
Cesar Rubio says that you have lodges that won't consolidate because you have members that never show up, find out what's happening, and then show up just to vote no because they don't like someone from the other lodge. Yeah,
Right.
you see that. You see that here.
That's why. Yeah, that's why we didn't. We think
we-
that they shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah,
Streamlining will prevent that from happening.
We talked about that recently in one of the episodes where
Yeah.
you got people that don't show up, they don't want the lodge to shut their doors, so they vote no, and then they leave and never come back, but they just don't want it
Yeah.
shut. Yeah. By the way, I was gonna say Caesar. I was listening to Caesar's podcast, Masonic Muscle, which is an excellent podcast.
Yeah,
And-
brothers, if y'all don't know about it, listen to it.
Yeah, yeah. And so it was a few episodes ago. He was talking about a resolution in California where the Grand Master wanted to do away with the ability to drink in lodge because it was detracting from the purpose of Freemasonry. Even though, if you look historically, there was quite a bit of drinking in Masonic lodges. And fortunately, it sounds as though that did not pass. So I was very glad to hear that. California has something that a lot of lodges would like to be able to do, and so that would have been a huge step back. And so I'm glad to hear that that did not happen.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
So now we can move on. I'm sorry, brother.
Oh, do I have your approval? And so our recommendation number 3, the ancient landmarks. It basically, excuse me a second.
Yeah, I wish I could do that.
To changes, it adds the following to the landmarks or ancient landmarks of Freemasonry, Texas, which is in the law book. Article 13, ancient landmarks, says Grand Lodge recognizes the following ancient landmarks. 1. Masonry teaches morality through the allegory of 3 degrees of an operative science. 2. Each candidate for Masonry must believe in the following: A. The existence of God. B. The immortality of the soul. And C. The divine authenticity of the book of his faith. 3. Candidates for the degrees must be qualified as men of a certain age and of good reputation. And 4. Some element of secrecy must exist, setting the Mason apart from the rest of society. I mean, I see no problem with it.
I thought that was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not. So I had no problem with it.
Okay. Cool.
Number 4.
Done. Check.
Whereas the Committee on Masonic Education and Service is a 7-year committee charged with formulating creating a system of instruction in the fundamental principles, symbolism, and teaching of practical application of Masonry, and with providing such services as may be required by individual Masons. Whereas the duties of Masonic Education and Service are each of utmost importance, whereas Masonry would be better served by dividing the duties and obligations of the committee into 2 separate committees. Therefore, be resolved that it's basically separated the committees. It looks like it'll create a Masonic Education Committee and a Masonic Service Committee.
Right.
Which, I mean,
that's
fine.
that's what we were trying to do last year.
Yeah, it's all good.
And by time I got that proposal back, it was all mixed up. So yeah. That's good.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
Let's move on. Let's see. 1 second. All right, number 5, resolution number 5, recommendation number 5. Whereas Article 273 sets out standards for aprons to be considered regular. Whereas 273 refers to past master aprons now being worn as being permissible as of the date of passage of the article. Whereas the square is a specific symbol to the Masonic master of the lodge, is listed as a fixed jewel on the monitor and has a designated station in the east. Therefore, be resolved. We'll see what is changing. In addition to using the past master's aprons not being worn, it shall be permissible for past masters to wear aprons with the same design and insignia as provided for the worshipful master, with some other appropriate design or emblem significant to Masonry upon the bib. while the addition of the arc or quadrant under the points of the compasses would be optional. It looks like it's just changing up the apron a little bit. Personally, I don't have a problem with that either. I think some variety in aprons is nice, personally.
Yeah, most aprons do have something separate on the bib that makes it able to be. You can tell it's not a officer of the lodge if that's what that's trying to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, making sure that that's the case, and yeah, that's good.
Let's move on. So this next one was kind of recommendation number 6. This is about addressing Masonic disciplinary violations. And so basically it's adding to Title 5 of the laws a new Chapter 26, which provides as follows. It's lengthy, man. It's lengthy. You need to pull this up and read it yourself. No, we're looking at, I'm on page
Yeah, because it's talking about arbitration. And...
Yeah, there's no feasible way to discuss it here. So look it up. And that is the last recommendation. And then we got statements of availability. Did you know Jim Rumsey is running for Grand Junior Warden?
Really?
Oh, what a surprise. Did not know that. This is new information to me. I had no idea. So, other than that, that's the majority. That's the majority of all the recommendations. Frankly, nothing really exciting, man. Like nothing like
right.
I want to go and just to see how it goes. But nothing. But by the same token, there's nothing where I'm like, man, I hope this doesn't pass. There's nothing I'm like adamantly against. There's a few things I think are kind of silly, but it won't change.
Right.
It won't end the world if they pass. But
there's some stuff that's not necessary, but nothing that is going to kill Freemasonry.
Yeah. Caesar says, by the way, I'll send you California Masonic Code PDF.
Thank you.
Yeah, is that for us? Sent to us? If so,
yeah.
If so, I'll check it. He says, yeah, they sounded boring. Yeah, they're boring. I didn't really know. I haven't really looked at it, but it was brought up a few times by a few different listeners. So I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and just kind of talk about it.
We do it anyways. Normally, we do a show on it. So
yeah. Not doing it with
might
alcohol
as well
or
do it
anything
now.
like that. But Adam says, will both of you be at Grand Lodge? I'll be.
Yes.
Dennis isn't allowed this year.
I'll be for sure.
Because of the incident that happened last year with the rat downstairs. That was him. But righteous.
No, that wasn't me, but I do know who it was.
Yes. We won't name names. We don't want to upset Robert. Oh crap.
You didn't say it was Marshall, so I
didn't say Marshall, so yeah, he can't be mad. Oh dang it, we did it.
No, it wasn't just him that had to do with that. That's
no rat on a stick this year.
He had to get in there somehow, right?
Yeah. Well, that puts us at 2 hours, man. I think it was a pretty productive podcast. Yeah, time flies when you're.
How many members do we still have listening?
We got 9 viewers right now. And
really?
We've had a total of 61 people pass through. So.
Wow, brothers, thank you. Are these the same 9 that showed up at the beginning?
It doesn't really say who all's in. Like I know Caesar's here, Adam's here, Red Raider's here, Carl, but I don't know if they're the ones. I know Caesar kind of came in late and Adam did, so I'm not sure.
Carl's been here a while. Red Raider's
Carl's been here a while. Yeah.
And I can honestly say that after listening to y'all and hearing it from a couple of different people, I can understand that one resolution that it may be good to be there.
What are you talking about?
It just means I'm gonna have to work a little bit harder.
What resolution are you talking about?
The one on making the requirements for the certification.
Oh, you're starting to see the light, huh?
Not really, but just for peas and hominy, at the end,
Uh
I'll do that.
huh. I I mean, at the end of the day, we have the requirements, and the options are you can be proficient by your district instructor, or you can go to a forum. Right? If you're going to a
Right,
forum, why not just go ahead and get a certification? Why not try for it? A
right,
certificate does not require a lot. Um,
right. The only reason I didn't this past year is because I had a deal that I was going to for my daughter, and I had to cut it short. Otherwise, I would be certified right now.
I
I
mean,
I just didn't
I'm just
have the
saying, as a
time.
as personally me as a district instructor, I'm not going to put my name on that piece of paper until you can open and close without any help from me.
Absolutely,
Right
and I agree with
now,
that.
now 6 months from now, when I visit, you may not be as proficient, but when that window of opportunity is coming and it's in my the ball's in my court and the reflection is on me, you either you go to a forum or I decide you're proficient.
Right, right.
Caesar says, I'd
Well,
love to
and
do a podcast on that topic with you guys. Man, all you just
yeah,
gotta send us an invitation. We'll be glad to come on your show. Well, I will. I can't speak for Dennis, but I'll be glad to come on your show.
I'm pretty exclusive these days.
Yeah, he's exclusive. Yeah,
Elusive.
definitely
Well,
elusive.
see, I, but see, I'm kind of like a little old school in that thought that
You are a little
you know,
old.
if you don't take, yeah, I'm getting there. I'm feeling it every day. If you don't take enough pride in yourself and trying to do the best you can at what you're doing, why in the hell are you here?
Yeah.
You know, what's your purpose? What's your purpose if you're not trying to do better? So come on, guys, let's step it up together. You know, why I the only reason that it upsets me probably is because that we do need it. That's probably why I'm so upset about it, because we do need it. Because I personally, when I stepped into that seat, I knew my business.
Yeah.
When I give my presentations as DDGM, I've had people tell me that I've done an excellent job at it each time that I've done it, and that's because I believe it's important to do a good job at it.
Yeah.
When you give a 60-year pin, you do your damn best. You don't just half-ass it and just kind of kick it under the rug. That brother's been there for 60 years. He deserves your very best.
Yeah.
And when brothers are showing up to your meeting, they're showing up, and you should give them your very best because they're showing up because you're there.
So,
We're all
Red
showing
Raider
there.
says I've had an A certificate for over 15 years, and man, that's a lot. This is my first
That's
year. This is
good.
my first year with the A. I mean, if we're
That's
talking,
good.
I'll just be honest with you, Dennis. I'll be completely transparent. I think the one of the biggest hurdles a new master mason has is he turns in his work and he has no clue what to do. Right. So I think one of
Right.
the first things a new master mason should do is get a C certificate. And I say this because he's memorized most of the requirements for a C certificate at that
Well,
point.
I think he should
It's
just
fresh on his
because he
mind,
has. Yeah, it's fresh
and
on his mind and
I
it's
think
easy.
he should get the C certificate, go to a forum, get the certificate. I think he should go to OLT, and I definitely think officers should go to OLT. And I think it needs to be like a formalized and structured. Like this is your expectation. This is what you do. And by the time he is a worshipful master, he at least as a minimum still has that C certificate. OLT
Right.
is officer leadership training, Carl.
For
Uh,
for
yeah,
for me, what upsets me the most about that what's most disturbing about that you told me, it is not that you think that it should be, but that it's not that officer leadership training is not something that has to be done to become an officer. If you're saying that you have to have a certificate to know the work to become an officer, why in the hell are you not telling people that they should go to the officer leadership training?
I did
and
say that they should
and
go to officer leadership training.
no, I know, I'm talking about in general. We're making a law that you have to be certified to do this. Why are we not making a law saying that you should have to go to OLT instead of being able to just flake out by saying, "Oh, I went to the Briscoe or whatever," or "I'm a past master" or whatever.
You can't even
Doesn't
you can't even
doesn't mean you're a good past
compare
master.
the Briscoe to OLT.
Exactly.
Briscoe
That's what I'm
Briscoe
saying.
doesn't even hold a I mean, he doesn't even hold a candle. He doesn't even
That's
cast a
that's where I
shadow.
get so upset. Yeah, that's where I get so upset because we're putting all this emphasis on the memorization and no emphasis on the officer leadership training or the actual stuff that's going to keep the doors open in the lodge. That's what bothers me. I agree.
So
We should have good ritual.
so Red
I
Raider
agree.
says it is law to have life or OLT. And
Right.
man, again, like
Life
life
is
is
not
valuable, but it's not OLT. It doesn't hold a
life is
candle.
yeah. It's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah,
It's a drop in the well. It's a drop in the well of what
drop in the
people
well.
should know. Yeah, it's a
Well,
drop in
well,
the
well.
well of what you know. You're lucky I'm not there right
All's well that ends well, Dennis.
now.
Yeah. So, I prefer OLT.
Yeah, you
Well
lost
worth the
my
investment.
attention.
Yeah, I mean OLT. I think is ideal. Uh, Definitely should do the live program. Definitely should get at least a C cert. And even if that's all he ever gets, even if that's all he ever gets, because if you memorize everything for the C cert and maintain that, you're still better off than
You can
ninety
open
percent
and
of
close the
Masons.
lodge. Yeah,
You're still
yeah,
better off than 90% of Masons. But yeah, do the
right.
live, do the OLT, uh, go to forums, and just make an expectation. Don't say these are optional things. Just like you need to go to these.
Right.
You need to go to these.
Right.
You need
And
to be
see, that's
there.
the thing is that I do go to these things. Even though I don't have the certificates, I go to the forums every year. I
Yeah.
go. I
If we
that's what's frustrating is
if
that
we as Masons taught one another that, granted, sure, yeah, like if life happens, it happens, but we use it as such an excuse. If we taught one another to actually use the cable toe and circumspect, make a circle around where we live, like 50-mile radius, and say, look, if there's something that goes on within this radius, you need to be there. Could you
right,
imagine how much stronger the fraternity would be? Even if it's 20-mile
right,
radius. Yeah, granted, the length of your cable toe differs by person, right? But I mean, some brothers travel all over the country. Some brothers keep it to Texas, and some brothers keep it within a smaller radius, and that's fine. But if everybody said, "Look, this is my cable toe. This is the extent of my ability to reach out and resolve themselves. If there's something Masonic going on, I don't care if it's a forum, I don't care if it's a degree, I don't care if it's a stated meeting. If I can be there, I will be there." How much stronger Texas Freemasonry would be? It'd be
right.
huge.
Absolutely. Freemasonry in general. But
Freemasonry in general.
here's what bothers me is that in with a resolution like that, it's saying that somebody who sits in his lodge and doesn't go anywhere else, but he knows all that work, he's more qualified to be a Grand Master than somebody who travels all around the state, all around the country, all around, trying to, you know, be the Freemasons Mason and trying to learn as much about the craft as he can. So somebody who just sits but knows all that stuff, he knows all the words, but he sits in his little lodge in his little town and never moves, is more qualified than somebody who is traveling all over the place.
Could you
That's
imagine?
what bothers me.
Could
That's
you
what bothers
imagine?
me.
Here's what bothers me. Could you imagine being an El Paso Mason and spending several $1,000s to travel to fly to Waco and get a hotel room, and you get in there and the worship master can't open Grand Lodge
Oh, I'd be disappointed.
or
Yeah,
can't close
I
it.
would be.
It's the
I would
same.
be
It's like
disappointed.
why am I going back home thinking I need to have high standards when the Grandmaster himself can't even open Grand Lodge?
Right. Well, and
And
I
so it's
agree. I
important to
agree.
have, like Caesar said, it's important to have these
It's
a high
balanced though.
standard.
It's balanced though. It's not just about the words, man.
Yeah,
It's
but
all
the words are
encompassing.
here's and we'll disagree on
I'm
this.
not.
We'll
I'm not
disagree on this.
dismissing. I'm not
I
dismissing the
think
words. I'm
I think
just saying that's not what it's all about.
the it's not what it's all about, right? And the ritual and the words themselves and the opening and closing are not the most important thing, right? However, it is the foundation on which a successful lodge is built.
Well, and
And
don't
what I
you
mean by
think
that, I guess this is what I was trying to say earlier without really thinking how to formulate it. Like having brothers that are great on esoteric, great cooks, great whatever. Those are important to have. They're important to have, but you have to have your foundation, and that foundation is leadership that knows how to conduct a ritual. Everything else goes on top of that. And the leadership may be able to do other things as well, but if you can't open and close a lodge, everything else the whole house of cards falls.
I don't call opening and closing the lodge leadership.
It's not leadership. No, I'm not implying that it is. Leadership and your ability to open and close lodge are two different things. But your ability to conduct a ritual as a leader.
But with the law, it's saying that that is what makes,
because that's what separates us from Lions Club. Otherwise, you just gavel the thing open and just do business.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, is that not the difference between a standing meeting and like a Rotary and a Masonic Lodge?
Yeah.
Let's see.
No, the difference between a Rotary and a Masonic Lodge is Rotary charges 10 times more than Masonic.
Yeah, so does Lions. Ray Raider says you have to balance, but you have to set a minimal to pass, or there's no bar to how low it goes. Caesar says everything you're talking about is steeped on words. And Carl says I agree with the same thing with jobs. If my manager does not know how to do my job, how can I go to him for help? And then someone else says Justin is clearly right. He's the most knowledgeable. Makes it on this podcast. Dennis should just listen to everything he says and agree. Hold on, let me finish typing that real quick. No.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Brothers, I don't want to keep beating the horse because it really is. But in my mind and in most of people who take pride in their own personal journey, they're gonna try and do their very best, and they're gonna meet those minimums anyways. But it's a balance. And when you allow somebody to come in based on just the minimum, you're going to get a shitty result.
Man, I get what you're saying. Like the kind of men that we let into the fraternity should be the kind of people that look at the minimum and say, "I'm going to blow that out of the water," right? But we don't. But we're mainly consisting of members that say, "Hey, the minimum endowment's only $500. Who cares if it's in that way for 40 years?"
And that's what I'm saying. So the minimum endowment is $500. So nobody pays any more than $500. So what do you think is going to happen with this ritual? Right?
Yeah.
So then our leaders are going to be minimalists. I don't want to live in a minimalist society. I don't want to live in that fraternity. I'm not down with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Though I know that all the people that are on this podcast right now that are listening as well, I know that you guys are not those minimalists. I know that. Y'all have proven time after time that you go above and beyond. I know that.
Many of you there has to be refinement in everything we do. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. We just need to make sure that we don't forget one because we're so focused on the other. That's the other thing. That's the only thing. Yeah. As above, so below.
Cool. Well, let's wrap it up, man. It's been 2 hours and 15 minutes almost, and it's been some great conversation, great discussion. We got the resolutions knocked out, so
out of the way.
That conversation has taken place. Yeah, we don't have to touch it again.
But we have some pretty cool interviews that are coming up, and you guys are going to be excited once we throw them out there.
Yeah.
we're nailing them all down right now. I didn't know how my health was going to be. You never know what Justin's health is going to be.
Yeah, I get
So
sick a lot. Get sick a
I
lot
get
these
sick and
days.
tired. Sick and
Yeah,
tired.
yeah, uh, yeah. Uh,
It's just his excuse not to deal with me. I have a headache.
yes. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks for the
Yeah,
great comments and
thank you so much.
conversation, both on YouTube and on
Yeah,
Facebook. And
yeah,
yeah,
this was cool,
the Facebook
man.
thing's worked out pretty well. It's been pretty smooth. Not many viewers. Like we got 0 viewers right now, and not it hasn't been much conversation on Facebook. But
That's all right.
we did. Yeah, I mean it is. We're
We
just
have our
doubling the
base.
exposure. Yeah, yeah.
We have our base, man. It's all about the
We're all
base,
about improving and
base,
refining,
base.
and this gets us out more. So it's good. Cool. All right.
Yeah,
Well, everybody,
absolutely.
thanks again for watching, and that's all she
Keep it
wrote.
between the points.
Yes. Keep it
Hey,
within.
and contact us. Contact us if you want some of our swag because it's here. We've got it.
Yes.
I'm wearing it. See,
Yes.
we've
Reach
got the
out to
swag. You
reach out
just
to
got to reach.
Dennis. Re-
If you don't reach out to us, then I'm gonna start going ahead and selling it to other people because I've been waiting, giving y'all first opportunity for all the swag that I have,
Yep.
and I'm gonna stop waiting.
By the way,
So
we've had a few members come in to the chat this evening. If you are interested in
thank you.
becoming a yes, thank you first and foremost for your contribution. If you are interested in becoming a member, which will give you access to all of our videos ad free moving forward, as well as some exclusive content, then check the link I just shared in the chat. That will allow you to become a member. Dennis has had surgery, so he's got some gauze in his nose. Definitely going to record that and put that some exclusive content so you get to watch
Yeah,
Dennis.
we're gonna
Dennis,
pull my nose job out.
yes, but in
We
all
won't do that
seriousness,
live though.
we do have some good exclusive content out there. Definitely worth watching it ad free. And I said this before. Like I was listening to Paul Reyna, 2 hour. It's a 2 hour interview, right? Like great interview, but man, the ads are just there's a lot of ads, and
Yeah.
you don't realize how many there are until you listen to like the longer podcast. But I can't eliminate them either because the ad revenue is what keeps Masonic Improvement afloat.
Well,
But
that's what allows YouTube to let us continue
yeah,
doing what we do.
yeah. But for the members, I can upload the videos and just make it ad free because I mean they're paying for membership, and so it doesn't kill the channel to let them have it ad free. So I think that alone is a huge benefit right there, just being able to watch videos ad free. But the exclusive content is also high quality. But anyway,
Yeah.
enough about that. So we are wrapping it up. We got some good stuff coming out Wednesday. Uh,
Yeah. Thank you, brothers, for coming on and
yep,
sharing this time with us.
absolutely. All right,
Y'all are making this cool.
I try. I try.
I look forward. I look forward to my Sunday nights now because I know that we're going to be doing this and hanging out with you guys. It really is. Seriously.
Seriously.